Do you like oatmeal for breakfast, but are you tired of the same old boring bowl of oats? Well, stay tuned, because I've got you covered. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Jen, and this is A Better Life with Jen. And in today's video, I'm going to cover 4 different ways to make oatmeal more exciting for your breakfasts. So let's get started. So the first oatmeal I'm going to go ahead and make is a cookies and cream oatmeal. I'll show you all of the ingredients for that. Obviously, it's going to start with your basic oatmeal. You love how I color coordinated my bowl to my sweatshirt. That was not planned. So in this bowl, I have 40 grams of old-fashioned oats, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the water. I add a little bit less water than recommended because I like my oatmeal really thick. So I have 3/4 of a cup of just plain water I'm going to put in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and cook this in the microwave. I cook it for a total of 3 minutes, but I will warn you, if you have ever had the dreaded oatmeal boil over where it ends up all over your microwave, do not cook it for 3 minutes at one time unless you have a ginormous bowl. This bowl's pretty big. I cook it for 2 minutes. Then I let it rest for a couple minutes while I'm doing other stuff, and then I cook it for 1 more minute, and I keep an eye on it just to make sure that it doesn't boil over. So once I get this cooked, I will be back and show you all the rest of the ingredients to make the cookies and cream oatmeal. All right, so as you can see, the oatmeal is cooked. It's nice and thick. This is how I like my oatmeal. It's still pretty warm. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you the other ingredients I have to make this a super healthy, high protein oatmeal breakfast. So in this little bowl, I have measured out 14 grams of chia seeds and 7 grams of flax meal. So this is going to add some great healthy fats to it. So I'm going to dump this in. And then I add protein powder to my oatmeal. And I have some cookies and cream protein powder. So one of my favorite companies to order protein powder from is a company called PE Science. And the really cool thing is anytime you order, they send you samples. So they send little sample packs. So this is a half serving, and I got a sample pack of cookies and cream. So I thought this would be perfect. So I'm going to stir this in as well. And then just to up the cookies and cream flavor a little bit, I have these little flavor packets. I got these at Target, and these are actually meant to be added to an unflavored protein powder. It's a company called Gainful. I don't know, I've never tried their protein powder, but I saw these flavor packets and I thought these would be great to add to things like oatmeals, Ninja Creamies, Greek yogurt, all kinds of stuff. And this combo pack happened to have vanilla, sea salt caramel, and cookies and cream. So I'm going to add part of one of these packets to it as well, just to kind of enhance the cookies and cream flavor. And then I'm going to go ahead and stir this up. I like to just use a spatula to get everything stirred up. It is important to have room in your bowl so that things don't go flying all over the place. Take a smell here. Oh, it smells great. It smells definitely like cookies and cream. Now, the last thing that I do to enhance the nutritional value of it so that this is a very well-balanced meal is I always add a little nut butter to my oatmeal. And lo and behold, I happen to have a cookies and cream nut butter. So this is from a company called Dive Bar. And if you've seen any of my protein bar reviews, I love their protein bars, but they also have protein added nut butters. So this is called Muddy Butt Crack is the name. They have the most hilarious names, but it's cookies and cream. You can see from the package or from the picture, they actually do have, you know, the Oreo cookies on there. So this is a nut butter that has protein added. It is an almond butter with added protein to it. So I'm going to go ahead and add 15 grams of this to the top of the oatmeal. And I do weigh out things, especially like nut butter. It's much more accurate than measuring with like tablespoons or anything. So I have my food scale here. And if you've never, weighed out stuff like this, I'll show you the easiest way to do it. I take the nut butter jar, I place it on the scale, and then I set the scale to 0. And then you just scoop out and it'll be a negative whatever you want. So I want 15 grams. So I will scoop out the nut butter until this has negative 15. And that is perfect at 15. So I'll go ahead and put that on there. Put that out of the way. And you can see there is the protein cookies and cream oatmeal. It's a little bit, it doesn't have the greatest aesthetic appeal because of the flax and the chia makes it a little bit on the darker side, but smells amazing and is going to be super filling and super healthy. So this comes out to be 26 grams of protein, 40 grams of carbohydrates, and 17 grams of fat. So a little bit on the higher fat because of the nut butter, the chia, and the flax, but they're all super healthy, great fats. And this is going to keep me satisfied definitely until lunch. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Tastes wonderful. Definitely tastes like cookies and cream. The flax and the chia I really like. They add a little bit more texture to the oatmeal. And like I said, I make my oatmeal thicker, so it's a little bit on the thicker side, but that's how I prefer it. So hopefully you enjoyed this protein cookies and cream oatmeal. So the next oat recipe I'm going to make is a banana bread baked oats. So I'll show you all the ingredients and then how we're going to make it. Now, the reason I thought of this is I actually had this sample of banana cream protein powder that I had picked up, and then I found banana bread peanut butter. So I thought this would be great, and I thought this sounded super fun to make for baked oats. So we'll go ahead and I'll show you all the ingredients. It's going to have 1 egg. Here I have 20 grams of oat flour and 20 grams of quick oats. Now I use a mixture because I like a little bit of texture to it. If you want it more like a bread, you can use all oat flour. And oat flour you can either make your own. It's simply just oats that you grind up in a blender or a food processor, or you can buy it already done. So we'll go ahead and get started with this. I'm going to just crack the egg and mix that up a little bit. So now that I have this egg just kind of mixed up, I'm going to add just a dash of vanilla to give it some more flavor. And then I will stir in both the oat flour and the quick oats to get that mixed up. And then I put in about a half a teaspoon of baking powder. And then I will stir in this sample of the banana cream protein powder. Now, if the texture is a little bit too thick, this one's a little thick, I will add just about a tablespoon of water, just a touch to give it a nice sort of batter-like consistency. So now you can see this is all mixed up. It has a nice batter-like consistency. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the microwave. I'm gonna start with a minute and then give it probably 15 or 20-second increments after that until it gets a nice bread-like consistency when it's baked. Now, if you want, you can also bake these in the oven if you use an oven-safe container. However, I don't want to go through the work of turning on the oven and waiting for that, so I'm just going to cook it in the microwave. So this is baked. I ended up giving it a minute and 15 seconds. It smells wonderful. It smells like banana bread. And you can see how it rose up. That's partially due to the baking powder and partially the protein powder that's in it. So to top this off and give it a little extra touch, I'm going to add this banana bread peanut butter that I found. And I'm going to go ahead and add 15 grams of this on it. And this is kind of a chunky peanut butter, but it's on the thinner side, so it's just kind of melt a little bit on top, and I'm just going to spread that onto half of it here. And then I just have a few pieces of sliced banana that I'm going to go ahead and lay on just to make it look pretty. So there you go. We have our banana bread protein baked oats. Now this comes out to 42 grams of carbohydrates, 17 grams of fat, and a whopping 40 grams of protein. And it has 482 calories. So this is great for breakfast. It's great for a post-workout snack. A really, really good, hearty, filling meal. So let's go ahead and give this a try. Really good. You can taste that banana. It does taste like banana bread. Who says you can't have cookie dough for breakfast? So the next oatmeal containing recipe I'm going to show you is a healthy cookie dough, which is going to make a great breakfast or a post-workout snack, pre-workout snack, or just a treat anytime you want. So I'll go through the ingredients. This one's super easy to make. So in this bowl here, I have 40 grams of oat flour. This is just ground up oats. In this bowl here, I have 15 grams of protein powder, and I used PE Select, which is one of my favorite brands, and this is their flavor frosted sugar cookie, so great for a sugar cookie dough. I also have in here 5 grams of this is powdered almond butter. You can also use powdered peanut butter. And then 5 grams of sugar-free vanilla pudding mix just to add a little more sweetness to it. I'm also going to use a little dash of vanilla, a dash of almond milk, and then part of this yogurt. This is a Dannon Light and Fit, and I happen to find the flavor birthday cake. This is a Greek yogurt, so I thought this would go great with the whole sugar cookie flavor. And then of course some sprinkles, because you have to have sprinkles with sugar cookie dough. So into the oat flour, I'm just going to put in the other dry ingredients. Mix this up a little bit. Then I'm going to add a touch of vanilla. And then just a touch of almond milk. This is just an unsweetened almond milk. I get it at Costco. I love this stuff. And then I'm going to go ahead and add part of this birthday cake flavored Dannon Light and Fit Greek yogurt. And I'm just going to add enough until it gets a nice dough-like consistency. So we'll start with a little, and we can always add a little bit more. And everything is mixed up. That has a really nice dough-like consistency. Now I'll put in some of the sprinkles just to mix those in. Sprinkles are optional, but not really optional because you have to have sprinkles for cookie dough. And you can add as many or as few as you want on the sprinkles. Measure those with your heart. All right, so there you have the sugar cookie healthy dough. I'm gonna go ahead and try this. Tastes like cookie dough. Really, really good. Very tasty. So this ends up having, and when I calculated the macros, I did calculate using the entire Greek yogurt, which there's barely any left, so I'll just finish that off as well. But the macros for this whole dish comes out to be 44 grams of carbs, 5 grams of fat, and 32 grams of protein. So really good, high protein, great, like I said, would make a great breakfast or a pre or a post workout snack. 345 calories in this. I'm going to eat this for breakfast. It's essentially protein oatmeal, just in a different form. So hopefully you enjoyed this sugar cookie protein dough. So the next oatmeal recipe I'm going to show you are overnight oats. Overnight oats are really easy to make. As the name suggests, you make them the night before, store them in the refrigerator overnight, and then eat them the next day. So I'll cover the ingredients that we're going to use for this, and then we'll make this up. First of all, we have our oatmeal. I just like to use these little mason jars. They make it really easy because you can shake it up and then just store these in the fridge. I just purchased these screw-on plastic lids, which are really nice. You don't have to use the rings and the lids like you would for canning. In here, I have 40 grams of oatmeal, and I just use the old-fashioned oats. I like that texture that it gives when making overnight oats. I also have some protein powder. Once again, my favorite brand, PE Science, and I chose the flavor caramel waffle cone. I have some chia seeds, have some almond milk, and then for some healthy fats, you know, I love my nut butters. This is a snickerdoodle nut butter. It's almonds, cashews, unsweetened coconut, honey, cinnamon, and vanilla. So I thought that would go really well with the caramel waffle cone protein powder. So we'll get started and we will make these. So like I said, in here I have the 40 grams of oatmeal. In here I have measured out 15 grams of the protein powder and then 14 grams of chia seeds. Once again, chia seeds are a great source of healthy fats. They also help with the consistency a little bit because when chia seeds absorb water, they thicken things up. So I'm just going to put that in with the oatmeal. And then for the liquid, I like to use almond milk. You can use any sort of milk that you want. And I'm just gonna use this unsweetened almond milk. I just get this at Costco. I use this a lot, love this in my coffee. And I'm just gonna put in half a cup of almond milk. I like my overnight oats a little bit thick. So if you like them a little thinner, you can use more milk. And then we just pour in the almond milk. Put the lid on and then give this a nice shake. And that's all there is to it. Super easy. Now, when I'm using the nut butters on them, I like to add those after it's set up a little bit. If you put the nut butter in now, it's gonna just sink to the bottom. So I let this sit either overnight or at least a few hours in the fridge and then add the nut butter so it just stays on top and it doesn't just sink to the bottom. These are so versatile. You can add fruits to them. You can add, you know, spices. This would be great with some extra cinnamon in it. Whatever you want, really, really versatile by changing up the flavor of the protein powder. You can totally change the way this is. I do like to add fruit as well to these oftentimes, and that tastes really, really good. So like I said, really easy. I just put this in the fridge overnight, and then the next day I can have it. Now, through the magic of television, I have one that I actually made last night, so I'm going to show you how it turns out after it's all set up. Ta-da! So this one I made last night, put it in the fridge, exact same recipe, and then this morning I did put the nut butter on top, and I just put 14 grams of nut butter on it. Like I said, that way it doesn't sink to the bottom. It smells good, and you can see this one's really thick because that's how I like my oatmeal, but if you add a little more milk, it will be a little bit thinner. It just depends on the consistency that you like. And then the nut butter is right on top, so you can just scoop a little bit of that in with the oatmeal. It tastes amazing. The caramel protein powder was really good with this snickerdoodle nut butter was a really good combination. Like I said, it would also be good with some fruit added into it. However you want to change up these flavors. And this is a really well-balanced, complete meal. So this little jar is a powerhouse. It is packed with carbohydrates, proteins, super healthy fats from the chia seed, and the nut butter. This jar has 40 grams of carbohydrates, 20 grams of fats, and 24 grams of protein. Now, some people may think that's a little bit higher on the fats, but I really like that because it does keep me full well until lunch. If you didn't add the nut butter, it wouldn't have as much fats, but it would still have the healthy fats from the chia seeds. And this jar comes out to be 436 calories, but like I said, really well balanced, great energy, gonna last you a long time throughout the day. I have to admit, I do prefer overnight oats in the summer because they are cold. During the winter, I tend to like my oatmeal hot, but they still taste really good and really easy to transport. I will just grab this out of the fridge. This lid keeps it from spilling, throw it in my lunch container, take it to work, and eat it for breakfast there. Well, I hope you enjoyed these 4 ways to make oatmeal more exciting for you. Let me know in the comments if you plan on trying any of these or if you have tried anyone and which one you liked the best. If you did like this video, go ahead, give it a like, comment, subscribe, all of the things. And as always, I appreciate everyone watching, and I will see you next week with another video.